Om Namo Narayanaya, Hari Om Namo Narayanaya.
Jai Jai Narayana Narayana Hari Hari.
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 Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kasyid dukha bhag bhavet. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi.
Take a moment. Allow Suraj or Bharata. Allow the eyes to close gently. And allow yourself to find a position that you can be stable in without moving for a few minutes. Find the stability and the stillness first in the body. And then allow the senses to pull inward. Literally imagine yourself taking all of the antennae that are around you. Antenna like those old TV sets that had antenna sticking up out of them. We've got antenna all around us, picking up signals from the world outside. Now imagine yourself taking those antennae and literally turning them from being focused outside to being focused inside. Take a moment and just notice what it's like to be aware, deeply aware within yourself. Draw the awareness to the breath. And as you do that, draw it to your breath, not in your rib cage and your lungs, but draw it low in the abdomen. There's a place about 2 inches below the belly button, about 2 inches above the groin. It's called the Swadhisthana chakra. just a few inches below the navel. Draw the awareness of the breath there. So as you inhale, feel that energy center fill and expand. And as you exhale and release, comes back to the place of rest in that energy center. So take the inhalations from there and exhale back into that Swadhisthana chakra. On the next inhalation, allow the breath to rise. So as you inhale, it begins below the navel at the Swadhisthana chakra. But then instead of inflating the abdomen out, allow the breath to actually rise within the being. So it's being carried up through the solar plexus, through the rib cage and lungs, through the throat, and up ultimately to the third eye center, to the Agya chakra, just between the eyebrows. And then exhale back down into the Swadhisthana chakra. Take the inhalations rising up from the Swadhisthana chakra up to the third eye center. And if you can't go all the way on one inhalation, don't worry. Just take it as high as you can, smoothly and easily. And then exhale back down. Rising higher and higher on each inhalation. Closer and closer to that third eye center. And then sinking deeper and deeper on each exhalation. The third eye is the center that shows us truth from untruth, that enables us to see the divine in all. So as the breath rises to that energy center, keep the intention on the Agya Chakra, on the third eye, and allow it to open as the energy rises higher and higher to it. Rising higher and higher on the inhalations and sinking deeper and deeper, freer and freer on the exhalations. Slowly bring the palms of your hands together at chest level. Rub them gently against each other. Press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. Open the eyes and lower the hands. Welcome to Satsang. Does meditation lead to bhakti, or does bhakti lead to meditation? So bhakti is devotion, is love. Does meditating make me love more, or does loving more make me meditate? Yes. Yes and yes. You know, there's a reason that we speak about spirituality as an opening, or as an awakening, or as an unfolding. It's not a linear process. It's not about point A, point B, point C. And so many of these things happen simultaneously. Many of them lead into each other. Many of them become each other. And so meditation is experiencing the truth of who I am. That's what it is. It's not some fancy, complex, esoteric technique to see lights and shapes and whatnot. It's taking you into the truth of who you are. My guru, Pujya Swamiji, always says, sadhana means our spiritual practice, our meditation, our seva, our japa, all of our practices. They don't bring God. It's not if you meditate enough and you meditate right, God will love you and then God will appear. doesn't bring God. God is there. What sadhana does is it cleans the window so you can see God and experience God. So as I'm meditating and experiencing the truth of who I am, does love for God blossom? Absolutely. Because all of that which keeps me from loving, my ignorance, my fear, my attachments, my ego, as I meditate, I let go of all of that. And I sink into a truth of who I am. And so when I do that, I become free of that which confines me. So love blossoms. Love is the core of who we are. There's a reason it's one of the few things that we're born knowing how to do. Most of the rest of it we have to be taught how to do. We don't know how to eat. Mothers have to teach their babies even how to suckle on a nipple. We don't know how to walk. I mean, we can't move. We can't speak. But we can love. Straight out of the womb. No education required. It's the core of who we are. And by the way, it's not even just about, I love the one who's providing me. Stand in line at a grocery store and smile at a baby in a stroller in front of you or behind you. Now, you're not the one providing that baby with anything. You're not the mother or father protecting it. You're not the one feeding it. But the love in that child's eyes, it's what gets everybody, universally, doesn't matter. But there is something universal about all of us. We look into the baby's face and we all go, ah, kuchiku, yes, yes. We all do it. There's something in us that is just pulled by that love. So, love is the core of who we are. And that's why being in love, loving at all, feels so good. Not just romantic love, of course. Love of everyone, love of the baby in the carriage. It's why love in general feels so good. Because it's the core, the truth of who we are. So when I meditate and I become free of the encumbrances, I'm free to love. Love blossoms. So, yes, meditation leads to bhakti, it leads to devotion, because the purest form of love, the fullest form of love, is love of God. And so, regardless of whomever it is I may think I'm loving, or just general love, it's ultimately love of God. Because if I'm really loving, what I'm loving is essence, is spirit, is soul. And that's divinity. Doesn't matter what word we use for it. But if we're loving something other than just form, other than just your body, we're loving God. If it's your soul, your essence, your spirit I'm loving, well, the divine in me is connecting to that divine in you. And that's the other reason being in love feels so good, is my body cannot love your soul. My body can love your body, My intellect can love your intellect. My neuroses, my neediness can love your neuroses and your neediness, and we can be mutually in love neurotically. But if I'm loving your soul, well, I can only do that from my soul. Which means that in order to love you fully, I need to drop into my soul. And that's the other reason it feels so good, is it is giving us the experience of who we are as soul, connected to soul. So yeah, love blossoms. And of course, can it go the other way? Can bhakti lead to meditation? Of course. Have you ever found yourself in love? And you just suddenly find a sense of merging, melting, stillness, oneness? That sort of ocean experience, the drop merging with the ocean experience? Of course. Can happen with another person. Can happen listening to devotional music or music that fills you with love, that opens your heart. It can happen watching a sunset. It can happen in the forest looking at trees. It can happen looking at a baby, your baby, someone else's baby. There's a moment of just the mind becomes still, and you just allow yourself to merge into that ocean of love. And meditation is when, we begin prior to meditation. We begin with concentration or single pointed focus. And so the techniques that we're given are all those that are given to us to bring the mind to one place. So we focus on a mantra or a word or a sound or an image or a candle flame or our breath, because it brings our mind from being all over the place into one place. And then that becomes meditation. That's a technique into meditation. That becomes meditation when there no longer is the one who is meditating and the object of meditation, but actually when they become one. And so through my love, through my bhakti, through my devotion, if I can be that drop merging into the ocean, oneness comes. There no longer is me and you, there's just us, right? We feel this in love all the time. Where we were separate, now there's just oneness. When that happens, it's meditation. When the mind is still and I'm connected to the source, to the truth of oneness, whether I've gotten in there through chanting a mantra, whether I've gotten in there through love that began of one person but became expansive to the divine and all of creation, however it happens. But meditation happens. So yeah, it goes both ways and every way. And that's what's so beautiful about the path, because bhakti, then your love, becomes your path. And meditation becomes the path. So it's not just meditation on my cushion or bhakti for this image of God. But my life becomes love. My life becomes meditation. And they mix and they melt and they merge into one. Because that oneness is you. So however it's easier to get in, it doesn't matter. Just get in. If it's easier to start with meditation, start with meditation. If it's easier to start with bhakti, start with bhakti. However it's easier. Just get in. Are there any? Yes. A man ready. Yes.
What is exactly meaning of who am I? Like, for example, this is my nose, I am not a nose.
Okay.
This is my finger, I am not a finger. This is my brain, this is my heart, I am not a heart. So what is the exactly meaning of who am I? Make one who.
Got it.
Who am I?
Who am I? Exactly. Not vaguely, not roundabout, not chakarlagake, but exactly. Who am I? Here's the dilemma. The dilemma is, I can give you words. And there are words. Even though everyone who's ever experienced it basically says it's impossible to put in words, nonetheless, over the thousands of years at least that we have recorded history that people have been attaining enlightenment, we have some words that have passed down. Spirit, consciousness, divinity, God, love, truth. But the dilemma is, when I speak those words to you, and then you think that you've understood something, but you haven't. And this is the dilemma, because the words can go around it describing it, but it can't give you the experience, and you're not actually going to know who you are until you experience it. Now, there's ways to experience it. And as he began, he said, I'm not my finger. I know that. I'm not my brain. I'm not the physical muscle of my heart. I know that. So who am I? Well, there's a beautiful practice called neti neti, which is a meditation practice that literally discards layer after layer. So I'm not my sari. I'm not my skin beneath the sari. I'm not the tissues or the blood. I'm not my organs. And we go through piece by piece of the physical body until you get to, I'm not my brain. Well, if I'm not my brain, it means I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my emotions. And again, we know that, should anyone have any doubt, because my emotions keep changing. I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm in pain, I'm frustrated, I'm annoyed, I'm in despair, I'm miserable, I'm ecstatic, I'm confused. But in all of them, I am. And so even though the emotions keep changing, the feelings keep changing, the thoughts keep changing, I is consistent. So it can't be the anger or the joy or the despair. So I'm not my emotions, I'm not my thoughts, and we keep going. And ultimately we hit a place where there's nothing else we can think of that we aren't. And yet, here we are. And in that moment, if you can go into it very, very deeply, and if you can try to keep the mind out of it when you get to that moment where there's nothing else to think of, because otherwise the mind scrambles. Oh, I'm also not my fingernail. Right, okay, also not the fingernail. Okay, and it'll keep thinking of something else. Not my skills, right, yes, of course, not my skills. But when you finally get to what you're not, you've removed them all. If you can allow the mind to be still and quiet in that moment, you'll touch a space. And that really is what it is. It's a space, a place, a state. It's not a word. It's an experience that the Buddhists refer to as nothingness and the Hindus refer to as everythingness. But it's the same space. And the reason that the same space can be both nothing and everything is the easiest way to think about it is if you imagine I have a glass jar of air, okay, and it's sealed, my jar. Glass jar, all the air's mine. Now my glass jar breaks. I drop it, slips from my hands, it breaks. Now what do I have? What do I have? No more glass jar. Some say nothing. Well, nothing in terms of I don't have the air that, I don't have the glass, but I also now just have air. All the air. Where previously I had had a glass jar of air, then the glass broke, nothing happened to the air is still there, it just merged with all the rest of the air. So you could either look at it as now I have nothing, because the glass, of course, is the metaphor for who I am, for this identity, this sense of self. And most of us move through the world, I am this. Well, when through our spiritual experience, thisness, my identity as thisness, shatters, you could have an experience either of I am nothing or I'm everything. I had identified as the sari, as the clothes, as the organs, as the blood, as the thoughts, as the feelings. Realize not any of that, okay? Not that, not that, not that. I'm nothing. Or I'm everything. Either way, neither is wrong or right, just two different ways of experiencing the same truth. It's when the drop merges with the ocean. What is it? Well, on one level, it's finished, over, nothing, no more drop. On the other hand, now it's ocean. Now it's everything. So that experience gives us a taste of what it is. We know what it's not. We know who we are not. But in order to really know who we are, we have to actually have the experience. But it's also important simultaneously to not negate this very beautiful physical experience that we are also having. The way that I love to explain it is of a wave on the ocean, okay? Because on the one level, on the highest, deepest, fullest, eternal level, the wave is an illusion of sorts. Meaning, yes, it physically happens, but the wave is actually ocean. So we call it a wave, but really the truth of that wave is ocean. For a very brief moment, an intersection of time and space, a wave happened. But ultimately it's ocean. So the wave's highest truth, deepest truth is ocean. In the same way that your highest truth, deepest truth, soul, spirit, consciousness, everything, nothing, God, love, truth. And that wave, even though at its deepest truth it's ocean, if you go out there to swim and you're not a strong swimmer, that wave is absolutely going to impact you. So it's not an illusion on that level. If you think it is, jump in a wave when you don't know how to swim. Grab a surfboard when you don't know how to surf and take it out into a wave. You will very, very quickly realize the non-illusion of that wave. And so it's also very important to realize that there's this other level of existence in which we have a human body and we have a human existence. And we aren't our hearts, but we have a heart. And we aren't our brain, but we have a brain. And our hearts function a little bit differently from each other, and our brains function a little bit differently from each other. And there is that beauty in this human experience that each of us is having differently but together. And so really the highest is to be able to live in both simultaneously. To be aware, I was never born, I will never die. All is perfect, all is God, all is ocean. And simultaneously, to feed the poor. Simultaneously, to take care of the sick. There's a beautiful Islamic teaching that says, have faith in Allah and tie your camel. So, we recognize the perfection of the divinity, and in this human body, human life, we tie our camels. We take care of our loved ones. We expand our definition of loved ones to be the entire creation. We serve. Somebody falls down in front of us, we pick them up. We connect with each other as soul to soul, and also as very human heart to very human heart. And so really the highest is not so much about transcending the human, but about being able to hold the ultimate awareness of infinite fullness, infinite everythingness, infinite nothingness, at the same time that you make a plan to give blankets to the homeless in the wintertime. At the same time that you make a plan to clean up your local river. At the same time that you make a plan to educate poor children. Or to do whatever is the action from you that is necessary in this particular life. So you are both divine and human. You are everything and nothing. You're all of it.
With respect to nothing and everything, how do we view death?
How do we view death from the nothing and everything perspective? we view death, first of all, as absolutely inevitable. Now that seems obvious, but how many of us live as though we're never going to die? Or live out of fear of death, as though somehow we could keep it at bay? Neither is possible. Neither can you escape death, nor are you going to be exempt from it. So we first take it as a given. And then on both levels, both the human and the divine level, we say, okay, so now that I've accepted death, well, death obviously only pertains to the human body. It doesn't pertain to the soul. So on the highest spiritual level, we realize I'm never born, I'm never going to die. So we don't worry too much about what I'm going to accumulate in this lifetime. We realize who I am is soul. I'm not the owner of these things. I'm not the owner of the bank account. I'm not the one in the title or the role of the career. We don't grab. We don't grasp. We don't fear, because we understand. As so beautifully in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna tells us, the soul is that which cannot be burned by fire, cannot be cut by knives, cannot be dried by wind, cannot be wet with water. So what to fear? So we live in that fearlessness, that open-hearted, full courage, knowing I'm just in this body doing my dharma, doing my duty, but I'm not the doer. So that's how we recognize it from the awareness that I'm it. It means I better be very careful about what I do. Whatever seeds I plant, I'm the eater of the fruit of that tree. And so I become very careful about what seeds I'm planting. I become very careful about the future, because this moment is precious. The moments of that past I am bemoaning have already gone. I've lost them already. The moments of the future have not yet come. There's nothing I can do about them. But I'm losing this moment in anxiety about them. And so we become very careful about every moment and the preciousness of it. And we make sure that how we're spending every moment is in the very best service of our own awakening, for me to be able every moment to realize I'm soul, I'm spirit, to move through the world, connecting with others as that. And to do whatever I need to do, to live however I need to live, such that every moment is very well spent. Every moment is spent in love, in service, in truth. Then, whenever death comes, we're ready. Doesn't mean we don't love the body, doesn't mean we don't love this beautiful drama we've been offered an opportunity to play a role in. Doesn't mean that there isn't a bit of sadness of loss. But we know I'm not disappearing, I'm not going anywhere. Because ultimately who I was never born and never dies. So no attachment, exactly. But that no attachment does not mean I live in apathy or indifference or laziness. A lot of people misunderstand non-attachment as, I don't care. You hear people say things like, I've become really good at non-attachment. I now can walk down the street past all of the lepers and the starving children and the poor people, and I don't feel anything. Like somehow that is some great spiritual accomplishment. It isn't. Non-attachment doesn't mean I stop being human. It doesn't mean that I squeeze the life out of this exquisite human heart I've been given. It doesn't mean that I take compassion, throw it out the window. But it simply means I am aware that there is only one thing in life I have any control over. And that is my own reaction or response to every moment. I don't have control over how other people speak or live or behave. I don't have control of the weather. I don't have control of the traffic or the stock market. And so to be attached to it going one way or another way is just a recipe for misery. And so non-attachment is realizing I don't have any control. And my joy, my peace, my awakening does not have to be dependent upon that. I don't hook myself into what happens in the outer world. I hook it deeply inside. So the things of the world no longer hold that grip on me. When you've push away shopping. I'm not going to shop anymore. It's not that. It's that automatically. Wonderful. So tomorrow night will be our last night of satsang for a week. We'll have satsang tomorrow, and then we won't have satsang again until the 8th of March. Because of our International Yoga Festival that runs from the 1st to the 7th. So if you haven't registered and you'd love to register, you can get some more information. Our beautiful Seva team can give you more information about that. You can also just go online to internationalyogafestival.org. And if you are with us already in the festival, then you'll be with us at so much else that's happening in the evenings of the festival. So looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow for our final pre-yoga festival satsang. And if you have a question that you feel shy to ask in public, you can get it in advance to our Seva team, to Sevanandaji, to Trish, to Karuna, and they will get it on the sheet for me in advance tomorrow.